What is going on, YouTube? How is everyone doing? My name is Nick, and I am here today with my 2020 NBA playoff predictions just for the first round, and this is the bubble edition here of the NBA playoffs since they're playing all the games down in Orlando. So before I get started with the predictions, I would like to go through today's matchups as well as tomorrow's. The first game on this slate of four games for Monday, August 17th is the Utah Jazz versus the Denver Nuggets at 12:30 Central Time. And all these games are on ESPN, by the way. In the second game, we have the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Toronto Raptors at 3 o'clock. And then the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics playing at 5:30. And the final game is the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Los Angeles Clippers at 8 o'clock. Then the other four games on the slate, or the games on the slate for Tuesday, are the Orlando Magic taking on the Milwaukee Bucks at 12:30 Central Time on TNT. Then at 3 o'clock on TNT, the Miami Heat take on the Indiana Pacers. The third game is the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Houston Rockets at 5:30. And then the final game is the Portland Trail Blazers taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. So let's jump right in here to my playoff predictions for the first round. And the reason being I'm just doing the first round is because I just chose to do only the first round. And because I want to get this video out for you guys, as well as I'm really bad at predicting, like a lot of people. I've been better as of late with predictions, but they're just so hard to do, especially with all the parity in the NBA. It is tough, and the factoring in that there's no fans at these games, and pretty much there's no home court advantage because every team is playing in Orlando. So yeah, that is that. Let's start with the first game here, or first series, which is the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Portland Trail Blazers, who won their play-in game against the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday. So for this series, I'm going to take the Lakers in 5, and I will explain that as soon as I'm done typing LA Lakers. Lakers in 5 in this series. The Blazers, I believe, can take a game, either game 3 or 4. I think they're going to win. However, the Lakers' size and talent are just going to be too difficult for Portland to deal with. I think guys like LeBron and AD are going to be tough on Portland. And with all the height that the Lakers possess, they also have Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee coming off the bench. Those guys are tough. And Kyle Kuzma will also be a key scorer for the Lakers. And I just think the Lakers' size and length will be too tough on Portland in this series, and that's why I took them in 5. I believe Portland can take a game. I think Dame can go off for like 50 points in one game, and they'll do pretty well. Also, CJ McCollum will be an important player in this series, and probably Yusuf Nurkic as well. But his wife is expecting a baby soon, so who knows how long. Or I think so. I'm pretty sure his wife is expecting. Or no, his grandma just passed away. Yeah, his grandma just passed away the other day, and he had a huge game. So, Nurkic is going to be an important player for Portland as well. But ultimately, like I said, the LA Lakers will be moving on to the second round after beating the Portland Trail Blazers in 5. All right, on to the next series here, which is the Houston Rockets taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think this could be a really tight series. The Rockets shooting, though, will have the advantage. They do take a lot of threes. They get in the paint good. And the Rockets' D has been better as of late in the bubble, and I think they can improve. I think that improved defense can slow down the Thunder. So because of that, I am taking the Rockets in 6 due to their improved D. Going to take Houston in this series. And the key players for the Rockets, obviously James Harden will be very important. He's their leading scorer. Westbrook hopefully won't be out of this series too long, and when he does come back, he will be important. Robert Covington will be a key player on defense, and Ben McLemore will be an important shooter for the Rockets. As for OKC, they will keep this series competitive with players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the wily veteran in Chris Paul, and Danilo Gallinari will also provide some scoring for Oklahoma City. But like I said, Houston's improved defense will help them carry them to the second round. And to our third first round series, we have the Utah Jazz taking on the Denver Nuggets. I'm picking the Denver Nuggets in 6 in this series. So we're going to take Denver. We're going with a favorite here. And why am I picking the Nuggets? I'm picking Denver because of their size and offensive playmaking, especially Nikola Jokic's passing. If you've watched the Nuggets at all in the bubble, which I have a little bit, I watched them in part of a game. Jokic's passing, I watched part of a game the Nuggets were playing, and Jokic's passing is incredible. He's an amazing passer for a big man. His passing is as important as his inside game. So Nikola Jokic will be a very important player for the Nuggets, as well as Jeremy Grant, who's been playing really well lately. Mason Plumlee for his size and his defensive skills. Gary Harris and Jamal Murray will be important on offense, and Paul Millsap will also provide some scoring off the bench and some good defense. And a question I have for the Nuggets, is Bol Bol going to play? Are they going to roll out that ginormous lineup that they have? We'll just have to see what the Nuggets do. But as for the Jazz, they're already down a player. Mike Conley will not be playing because his son is going to be born. That's unfortunate, so he'll be out. So other guys will have to step up in his place. And one guy that I see stepping up for Mike Conley is going to be Jordan Clarkson. I think he'll provide some good offense for the Jazz. And the Jazz two main contributors, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, will have to be huge for them in this series if they want to make it competitive. But like I said, Denver is going to win this series in 6 due to their size and offensive playmaking. All right, on to our final series in the Western Conference. We have the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. And I'm going to pick the LA Clippers in 6 in this series. Yep, Clippers in 6. And the reason being, I will get into the reason being, but I believe this will be a really hard-fought series, and it will come down to the wire. The star players on both teams will be key. The stars for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, will be very important for them, and for Dallas, Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis will also be super important for the Mavericks to make this competitive. And I think Dallas will be able to take 2 games because of their 2 star players. But ultimately, 2-time Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers will be a little bit too much for the Mavericks in this series. And the Clippers overall just are a super deep team. I think they're the deepest team in the NBA. Besides Leonard and George, they've got Lou Williams. They've got Landry Shamet, and is Montrezl Harrell going to play? We'll have to see. But the Clippers are a very deep team. As for the Mavericks, a couple other key players for them. Dorian Finney-Smith will be important. He can hit some threes, and Jalen Brunson, another key player for them as well. So, like I said, going with the Clippers in 6 in this one, and I'm going to move on to the Eastern Conference now. Where the Milwaukee Bucks are taking on the Orlando Magic. And I'm taking the Bucks in 5 here. I take the Bucks in 5. So Milwaukee is going to move on to the second round. I think the Magic do have the capabilities to win a game in this series, maybe game 4. But ultimately the Bucks are going to overwhelm the Magic. Their defense will have to be better than it's been in the seeding games, but I believe it will be. they'll turn up the intensity for the playoffs. Some key players for the Bucks, their entire starting lineup and team pretty much will be important. Everybody's going to have to step up and play at a higher level and intensity, despite there being no fans. That could be tough, but I have faith in them. I think they can create their own energy, and Coach Bud and his coaching staff can help that. They can help with that. Sorry, guys, taking a drink of water. But yeah, the entire team's going to be key, especially Eric Bledsoe. Need to step up in the playoffs. I'm tired of him playing crappy in the playoffs. It's time for Eric Bledsoe to show out in the playoffs. Show the world what you're made of, Bledsoe. I know you have it in you, man. Especially your scoring at the rim, man. You got to work on your scoring at the rim in the postseason. And Dante DiVincenzo will also have to step up in the bright lights, along with Brook Lopez. He'll have to be huge as well, scoring the ball and defending. For Orlando, I think Aaron Gordon and Nikola Vucevic will be very important for them, as well as Evan Fournier and Terrence Ross. In summary, Bucks in 5 in this series. They're going to overwhelm the Magic. On to Indiana and Miami. This series, I actually am taking the Heat in 7. It might be a bit of a surprise for some people, because they thought a lot of people think the Heat are going to win in 5 or 6, but I'm going to take it in 7. I'll take the Heat in 7 because I think these teams are pretty evenly matched and both well coached. Indiana has Nate McMillan, who's a solid coach, and Eric Spoelstra is a 2-time finals winning coach. So, yeah, he's a good coach as well. I believe he's won 2 finals, I think. Yeah, but I think Miami's shooting is going to help them prevail over Indiana, though. They just have too many great shooters on this team, like Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson. They're all great shooters. And also you got their 2 main stars on this team in Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. For the Pacers, they're going to keep it competitive with Malcolm Brogdon at the point. We'll see how Victor Oladipo does, and their star of the seeding games, T.J. Warren, who's put up 50 in a couple games. He's going to lead the way for the Pacers, I believe. But yeah, this is going to be a hell of a series. I can't wait for this one. And I think Miami's going to win based off of their shooting. So, Miami in 7. Let's put Miami down here. All right. And on to the next series. Another surprise here. I'm actually going to pick the Sixers. And you might be surprised with that because Ben Simmons isn't playing. But I will get into why I'm picking Philly. And sorry about the messages. I'm gonna have to try to get rid of those, or just gonna have to ignore them. Sorry, guys, but I'm taking Philly. In 7 with the upset. This is a fierce rivalry here, and it's still gonna be a hell of a series without Ben Simmons. Just with him not being out, it does definitely hurt. This makes it a lot closer series than it is. I mean, I thought about picking Boston in this, but I'm still going with Philly. And I think the Sixers actually could have won this series in 5 or 6 if they had Ben Simmons. But with Simmons out, this makes it just that much more competitive, and it's a total toss-up. I do still think Boston could win, but I'm going with Philly. I think Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris will be very important in this series. I think they're going to play extremely well. I actually think Embiid is going to play super hard this whole series because he wants to prove himself that he doesn't get tired easily. I think for Harris, he'll play hard as well. And Furkan Korkmaz, I think he's going to show out in this series, actually. I think he'll play well. And some questions here for Philly that I think they're going to be able to answer. Will Al Horford show up? I think he will. I think Al Horford is going to play just fine in this series with Simmons being out, and I think they're going to be able to overcome the Celtics and Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker. So I'm going with Philly over Boston in 7. Upset pick there. And my final first round series and the final series I'm going to predict here is the Brooklyn Nets versus the Toronto Raptors. And I'm going with the Raptors in a clean sweep here. The defending champs are going to sweep the Nets. I think the Nets will fight hard, but they're ultimately going to get swept. And the key for me, for the Raptors, is they're changing defenses. Nick Nurse is really gonna does a really good job at switching up his defensive schemes at the right time, and the Raptors just do so well at executing. So I think Toronto's going to utilize that against the short-handed Nets, and they're going to ultimately sweep them. Key guys here for the Raptors: Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, OG Anunoby, and Fred VanVleet. These guys, and also Norman Powell as well, will all be important for them. For the Nets, Karis LeVert's going to be important. Joe Harris, and Jarrett Allen and that Camero guy, I think will be important for the Nets. But yeah, there's really not much I have to say about this series. Besides that, I think the Raptors have a clear advantage in this one, and they will sweep the Nets. So that is going to do it for my first round predictions. I'm not going to predict the second round or the Final Four in this video. I'll do the second round once it's all set up. I'll do my second round picks. But anyways, I do have my finals prediction, and I will share that in this video. I'm going to pick the Milwaukee Bucks over the Los Angeles Clippers in 7 games. The reason being, I think the Bucks are due to get a little revenge on Kawhi Leonard. So, yeah, that is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed my first round predictions here in the NBA Bubble Edition of the playoffs. And yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.